Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. Thanks for joining us on Channel 347. Chatting about a very important topic today called cyber addiction. And I think we're all a bit guilty of falling into that trap. And I thought let's invite a panel into studio, chat a bit about that, give you some valuable advice. First up, I'd like to welcome our first guest, Gakeemah Petersen. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. And yourself?
Good, alhamdulillah.
And then also a psychosocial support worker, Seth, Gideon. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. Very important topic, and I'm sure you deal on the ground with this every single day as well. But when we talk about cyber addiction, what exactly are we talking about?
When we talk about cyber addiction, I always like to open with what is social media, what is the internet, and factually that is basically the world of the digital, which is basically your chat groups, it's your internet that has all your information, it has all your content, it has content creators also as well. But when we talk about cyber addiction, that goes deeper into the fact that most of the time in the real world also we have such this, how can I say, this fascination with the technology that we use, but then it goes deeper into saying that people often have this addiction where it becomes compulsive. And when I use the word compulsive, I'm not saying 4 or 5 hours, I'm saying some people have had cases where it's 10 to 11 to 12.
Wow.
There was a 17-year-old for 13 for 13 hours a day.
Wow. Well, I would imagine you work with teens, but also adults as well. Yes. Quite a few companies require people to have a bit of screen time today. So does that constitute as an addiction when it comes to, bringing the work into it?
Yes.
Or even content creators that get paid for, social media content.
I would say there's a fine line between when it comes useful information and technology being used in your workplace also as well, and then separately when I would say addiction falls under just doing it just for the reason of doing it without a specific reason. Outside even shadows actual real world activities and responsibilities also as well.
Good.
Also with that, I just want to find out, teens get addicted to social media. Is there a specific screen time where parents need to obviously just look at the time and say you had enough?
Yes, I would definitely say there is a minimum screen time. I would say for a healthy young child, say ages 10 to 16, 17, I would say about 2 to 5 hours would be very relevant.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Quite a few of the schools require students to work on their phones these days. I know my kids take their phones to school. They're allowed to use it during the breaks, search for information as well. So I like what you said about it's a thin line between measuring when they are on their phones or other devices as well. Now, I do know that you work within our school system.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the work that you do and maybe some of the stats that are coming out of the work that you do.
So I work singly on an individual basis. I interview and do also sort of interventions with schools and workplaces. What we do for the schools is we look at a lot of the support and social aspects. So we go into it such as cyberbullying, cyber addiction also as well. We work with cases where it would be domestic things happening at the home that needs to be addressed within the school as well in order to give behavioral change. So that's what we look at working through.
Okay, so what are some of the results that are coming out of that research that you've done? Must be fascinating.
No, it really is. I mean, through a lot of the research that we've done, we put through a study of about 5 studies through 5 different high schools, and we found that 40% of a learner's day, even a teacher's day, is actually spent online and in front of a screen. So that can be anywhere between 4 to 10 hours of screen time a day. So it's quite some studies that we got through on that.
My question, how do we treat cyber addiction? Is there a specific treatment? Is there a way to do it as a parent firstly? What do we do?
Oh, okay, quite a few questions, especially from parents and teachers also as well on this. I would say the best is to also as a parent, first of all, put a lot of value in the household also as well on saying that real life experiences and the real life connections we form with others is foremost, should be put first. The value and respect that we have for ourselves, we should harbor that with another individual also as well. And I find that also the parents' knowledge on technology and also the awareness they have around it also influence on the child. So I think also starting where it really begins, which is in the household, also has a lot to do with the parents. Teachers also can regularly do sort of these awareness workshops that we also host, highlighting the positives and the negatives on social media so that the kids can also see that, there's, like I said, a fine line between healthy use and then unhealthy use.
Yeah. Take us through those workshops. What are the interesting points that come out of those workshops? What are some of the maybe challenges and maybe successes of how to treat cyber addiction?
So from some of the studies we've done with a few of the high schools and the primary schools that we worked with, we found that through the Western Cape in South Africa, there is a 38.4% population of all children within those high schools that suffer from addiction on technology and social media and the Internet of Things.
Does gaming form part of cyber addiction? It
Definitely.
does.
I always get so much mothers coming to me on this question, and I would say yes. It's also due to the fact that our dopamine works on a lot of stimulus, and because these games provide so much stimulus and a lot of tasks that we have to complete, we get so hooked onto it, and we get pleasure out of achieving the rewards or achievements from these games. So it's also very addictive for these kids when they play.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I would imagine to some point technology is evolving so much that you now open yourself up, especially teenagers, open themselves up to, you know, to cyber pests, if you want to call them, or, you know, people that are taking advantage of kids as well. And if parents are not policing this properly, how can we better police that kids do not get caught up with, you know, the cyber pests and things like that?
I would say definitely there's a lot of applications and also software that's been introduced now for parental use, where actually there's an app that I know if you download it on Play Store or on the App Store, it can actually monitor your child's screen time. It can also show you what exactly they're doing, what social media apps they're on, and also if they sent or received any messages on WhatsApp from friends or from particular new faces maybe. So there's a lot of software like that the parents can get their hands on. It helps also with keeping a good eye on your child. Also, I would say regularly checking your child's phone also as well. You'll be amazed what you can find on the phone. I think that also keeps everything sort of healthy and open within the relationship between you, your child, and their use on technology.
Fascinating. Gakeemah, I'm learning so much about this interesting topic, and I'm sure that, you know, it's an ever-evolving space. And someone like yourself that handles the psychosocial part of things would need to keep abreast of what's happening in the world?
Yes, definitely.
So how do you do that? How do you manage to, you know, police, find information, but also police and give that information to schools and teenagers?
Well, I study through a campus, a college, SACAP.
Okay.
And yes. And through that also I do a lot of regular readings. Also we do a lot of article studies also. And also even our own sort of general research and also methods that we use within the schools, retrieving data, doing studies, also taking the information we get from our learners that we work with to further add to our collection or my collection of use that I use.
Brilliant. I like that. What advice do you have for parents watching this and, you know, wanting to know more and saying, you know what, whatever you've just said, I can resonate to because it resonates to my household. What advice do you have? How can they better handle the situation? Because you don't want to, you know, be in that situation where, you know, the child is angry at the parent, the parent's angry at the child. How do we work on that happy medium?
I would say, first of all, start in a very open, transparent relationship with the child. I think communication is of utmost importance. And then for the parent who's not as acknowledged of the internet or social media or even the cyber world, I think daily readings, I mean on YouTube, there's so much education you can find on YouTube also as well. And then I think using that and talking with the child, having these conversations with them and being open in the communication, I think helps a lot. Those are the first two guidance points I would really advise also as well for the parents. The
irony of this whole advice is that you need to go online to look for advice on how to handle your online addiction. More screen time.
Exactly. So also the fact that a lot of parents are not really educated in a sense of opening up a phone, Google, YouTube, all of those things. I'm talking about our type of parents or my mother. How else can we teach our children other than you attending schools and going out and doing the positive message? Is there any specific workshops that parents can obviously attend, or what is on your side?
So there is regular workshops, I would say, in terms of communication with technology also, and the basis of learning technology and new technology for older people, I would say. You can definitely check. I know my college offers a lot of workshops on communication, on online communication also as well, through my campus, ACAP. And you can also find regular workshops and interventions through, I would say, the Western Cape government also puts out nice little links for workshops and things that they put out also as well.
Gakeemah, as a parent, I mean, is this a genuine concern of yours? You know, how do you police it in your household?
Well, you know what, to be honest with you, in the week there's no phones.
Okay.
We're not allowed phones unless we go out, and obviously you have time out alone with your parents. But in the week for me, specifically attending school, there is a no-go. Weekends I would obviously police it. Friday afternoon you'll get your phone, and Sunday late afternoon you have to give your phone back. That's
Okay.
the trust that we have. We speak about it, but it depends from household to household,
that would
definitely.
differ. Okay, Seth, thanks so much. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you for taking the time and educating ourselves and also our viewers with regards to, you know, all the ins and outs when it comes to cyber addiction as well. Any important numbers or websites that people can visit should they have a problem with something like this in their household?
I would say I'm free of contact also as well. I do free, obviously, calls, and also if you need any consultation also as well on this. If you feel that your child does have an addiction, I'm free for free consultation also as well, and you can definitely look for any links on the Western Cape site as well. They have verifiable links for any sort of addiction treatment or free therapy.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Seth, well done. Thanks so much.
Thank
A
you.
young person like yourself also leading the charge. And I think people can resonate to you. The youngsters can probably
relate
resonate to you and say, you know what, he knows what he's talking about. You know, it's not
He's
an old
been
guy
on
like
the
me
screen
that will come there and, you know, give them a finger wagging type of thing. But anyway, thanks guys. Been very interesting. Have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Shukran.
Thank you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
That's how we end the first part of Hilaal Live. After the break, we chat to Al Jamaa and find out about their campaign trails, but also about an event they have coming up this weekend. You are still watching Hilaal Live.